swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common.
It's gonna be perfect. All right, so at the bottom where the volume, click that, and then it should give you the option to change the sound to Astro mix amp.
Okay.
And then once you do that,
on this Discord page or the volume on my computer?
on your computer, bottom right, the volume thing.
There's a volume thing on this computer?
Yeah, at the bottom right. You're killing me right now. This might be more exciting than talking about the MAVS right now.
All right, well, put us on.
It is. We're on right now. We're watching
right.
you.
I can hit on this. I can change my volume on the computer.
Correct. Plug that USB back in and then switch it. It's going to give you the option to switch. Say something. Okay. I still can't hear you, but at the bottom, you can hear me? Just shake yes or no.
I couldn't hear you, but now I unplugged you, so now I can hear you.
Okay. At the bottom, once you plug in where that volume thing is, you'll click it again, and then Astro Mix Amp should pop up. We can't hear you. He's still got the plastic on his microphone too, by the way. Yes, thank you guys for all being here as we wait for Mike to figure out his sound. Should be at the bottom. Yep. I heard something. Nope. This is incredible. You still can't hear? No, you can hear me? It's not in your ears. Okay, at the bottom, so the volume thing. You clicked it. Do you not see the volume meter? It looks like a speaker with like 3 lines blowing out. At the bottom right corner of your computer. This is great. So I can't hear you when you're just talking, right? No, I can't hear you at all. Okay, so let's try this. At the bottom right corner of your screen, there's the clock. You got your time, whatever, and the date. And then there's like just maybe 1 or 2 spots to the left of it will be a speaker that looks like it's playing sound out of it. Okay, when you click that, oh, you can't get that far. I don't know what you just said. I think he's about to call me. He's texting me. Although slow and dangerous, Mike still serves a purpose. Oh, okay. I'm going to take a picture too so he can see. Let's put my finger right on it. We'll see whose picture shows up first. Oh, mine's still loading. Well, guys, we will get to talk about the Mavericks here shortly. Just having a quick technical difficulties here with Mike and his microphone. Okay, I got his. Oh, he's on a Mac. I don't think I've ever messed with it on a Mac. No, I can't hear you now.
Why not?
Just okay, now I hear you. Just try. Yeah.
Why don't we just do it this way?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We'll figure this out later. So that way you can figure out the headphones and stuff at a different date.
It's like the fourth quarter of the Mavs, Bart knockers.
Well, we do have people here. I do say one of them is ready to hear you vent it out. I just want to start by saying that we heard it right out there. We talked about this right out the gate. The Hawks were definitely playing fast pace. Hi, buddy. Playing fast pace. They were definitely trapping Luka at the top, making him pass right away, creating we need somebody else to do something. We're not going to let Luka do it, which Luka still put up 30 points, which is crazy. After the way that they were trapping him and making him pass, he was doing a lot of your favorite player, Josh Green, jump passes, threw a few of them away, threw a few in the stands too.
I think he had 7 or 8 turnovers.
Yeah, well, okay, the first four drives with the ball, they turned it over and gave up only, 5 points?
Yeah.
Surprisingly. So, yeah, that's wild. But I thought it was a very sloppy play. Saw flashes of getting back into the game. Hell, even had the lead, and then they let it slip away.
I think the Mavs got up by 10 points in the third quarter. So there was moments where the Mavs looked like they were going to put away a team that, honestly, the Atlanta Hawks haven't played well this year. The Atlanta Hawks are struggling with team chemistry. They do have a talented team. It's weird to me that they're not better. On a piece of paper, they look like a good team. Tonight, they look like a good team. But the Mavs they can't get a defensive rebound when they need it. When there is a chance for a contested rebound, it's over. It's going to be the other team's rebound. And I looked at you at one point with 3 minutes to go or so, and I'm like, get the freaking board, man. You're right there. But we're just not – I'll say we're just not talented enough to do it. I know that Charles Barkley says rebounding's a battle of will, not a battle of skill. But – maybe we do lack some will, but we lack a lot of skill in getting rebounds.
Well, it's like we've talked about before. If Luka's your leading rebounder, that's a problem. That
and he
can't.
was tonight. Or no, not tonight.
No, he definitely. There's no way.
Had 4 tonight. Finney Smith had 9. Christian Wood had 9.
This is. I didn't realize this, and I appreciate Piche. I hope I say that right. 96 saying. JaVale 3-year deal. McGee 3 minutes, 3 turnovers, and I think he had 2 fouls, so I can't say 3. So I mean that's not helping. I'm expecting more from him. We need I thought for sure. I know, but I thought for sure we'd get a little bit more out of him. We're not. I will say, D. Silverio, players didn't have energy tonight. What did I tell you today? I said, why do we look tired?
Yeah, look tired, look slow. And the other team, they just were playing at a faster pace. Every team plays at a faster pace than the Mavs, but I don't know. I guess you have to rely on just making every three-pointer, not every three-pointer, but just being an unbelievable three-point shooting team. But the Mavs did score 122 points tonight, but if their defense was horrible, the rebounding, it wasn't horrible, but when you needed one, you couldn't get one. Obviously, double teaming Luka is working. The Mavs have lost 5 of 6 games, and most teams are just running the same defense. It's not complicated. Whoever sets the pick, you stop Luka, and the guy who is guarding Luka, you just stay with Luka. And Luka's going to pull the ball out to half court, and we would rather – NBA teams have decided against this Dallas Maverick team, which is an embarrassment to Mark Cuban, who doesn't seem to give 2 craps about this. The Mavs get to play 4-on-3 basketball for most of the game. And they have lost 5 of 6 games by playing 4-on-3 basketball.
Yeah, and it's they need somebody else other than Luka. We cannot sit here, and that's as much as we hate, well, we don't hate it, but as much as Mark hates that mural that's out there, it's speaking truth. Luka needs help.
It's what every Maverick fan believes. I'm going to assume right now, if you can chat with us, do you believe Luka has a good enough team to do what right now? What do you expect this team to do kind of the rest of the season and into the playoffs? Because I think we're going to be in the play-in game, Derek. That's what I think. We're going to be 7, 8, 9, 10. One of those 4 spots, and I don't think we're going to make it out of that.
A part of me doesn't want the Mavs to make it, just so that Cuban can see he's wrong. This isn't working. This didn't work. It was lightning in a bottle that we got last year. It was amazing. It's not working this year. Brad says this team is good enough to make the play in. That's it. So
that's where I'm at.
It's I guess, yeah, that's where we're getting at.
I know this sounds bad, but maybe and this wouldn't help out Mark Cuban because he'd say, no, we would have won the championship. But the Mavericks have lost every game Luka has missed, and they're losing them by 13 points a game. If Luka, I know we don't want this. I hate even saying this, but if Luka had some sort of injury where he just can't come back the rest of the season, but not a major injury where it puts any type of jeopardy in his career. And you just lose 90% of the rest of your games, and then you get lucky in the lotto. To me, that's the only way to get the next great player for the Mavs with Luka, because Mark Cuban won't spend money. This is now proven for a decade. They don't have any salary cap space anyway, so it's not like you can go out and offer anybody $30 million. He let Brunson go in this way. He could have at any point during July 1st or right before July 1st said, hey, I understand everything that is in New York that you want to go to. I am giving you a max contract. I am going to give you the most money on a 5-year contract you can possibly make, and that blows New York's deal out of the water. If you still go to New York, there's nothing I can do. I'm literally giving you 5 years and $155 million. That's the most I can give you, and New York can't come close to matching that. But he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, see, that hurts. I don't like that. I mean, you're letting talent get away. People want to come play in Dallas. Athletes love Dallas. So it's not like that's the issue. It's the issue, like you said, of spending the money. I was told, I've been asked to throw this out there. As professional players, you guys can tell Luka is mad at the rest of the team.
He gets frustrated easy. His body language at times isn't the best, but that's just who he is. I think he likes a lot of his teammates. I will say this, Derek. I did notice when JaVale McGee threw a bad pass out of bounds, he looked like, what is he doing in the game?
Well, he looked at him, but I saw that same thing, but he also got JaVale to say, hey, that's my bad. So I did see that come out of him. I did see the frustration, so I definitely see that. People are agreeing here that they want to see the Mavs not make the playoffs just to show Cuban up. Cuban is a cheap ass. He is running this team, and Luka will be gone the minute he can. I agree to that. If we don't do something to get Luka here, which we've heard that Luka does want some help, he just was trying to be respectful about it. So there is that, but I don't know. I agree too with this, and I think you've even said this on the air. Cuban thinks Luka's going to be loyal to the Mavs just like Dirk was. That's not going to be the case. I don't see that happening, especially with a young guy like Luka. Different eras there. You're talking about Dirk, old school basketball, Luka, new school basketball.
Yeah, I mean, Luka's favorite player of all time is LeBron James.
And he saw what he did.
Yeah. Now, Dirk's favorite players, at least the 5 players that, he was brought out at the last game of his career, were Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Detlef Schrempf, Sean Kemp, and Michael Jordan, I think, couldn't be there. And so, I can't remember, but it was kind of like this group of guys where he grew up in an era where he watched, I know Scottie Pippen left and went to Houston then / Portland, but I mean, he grew up where Magic stayed with the Lakers, Bird stayed with the Celtics, Isaiah stayed with the Pistons. So when he started falling in love with the game, most of the best players in the game represented their team and their city for their career. Luka's not growing up with that. Luka grew up with, I'm going to go to Real Madrid. If people don't know what Real Madrid is, that's the LA Lakers in European basketball. He went to the most popular, richest team in Euro, and he was great at it. He was the MVP. He won a championship at 18 years old. And so he's not Dirk. Dirk played in a B League division until he got drafted. He was strongly considering going to college in the United States of America. Their upbringings and the way that they see the game, moving or staying with a team is so different. But I hate saying this because it sounds like I don't respect Mark Cuban, but I just don't know if he knows. I think that he's in his own world right now, and he's not seeing the frustration of the Mavs. A freaking person, Derek, made a mural of this on how frustrated we are.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the other thing too is he's treating this as if it's a business, but he's not spending like the other businesses, I would say, like the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers. Silverio said that. I also want to put out, I like this one. This comment comes out. Bogdanovich would be our second best player, and he's coming off the bench for Atlanta. I like it, but I don't think he would be our best. But I like what he's saying. Second best, sorry.
Christian Wood is better, and Dinwiddie is. They're different, and Dinwiddie's better, but he would be our fourth best player.
Yeah, I have Dorian up there though. Can't sleep on my man.
Yeah, and I get they're totally different players, but they would be very nice complementary players. Where Bogdanovich is less of a defender, more of a shooter scorer, and Dorian Finney-Smith is more of a defender, 3-and-D type of guy. So I'd love to have him on the team, but I just don't know at this point. From what I hear, I'll put it out there. From what I hear from multiple people in different aspects of basketball, Mark Cuban is so worried about the luxury tax and spending that he is nixing possible discussions on trades. He is pretty much, if you want Christian Wood back here, Nico Harrison, then you got to figure out a way to clear space because I am not paying luxury tax. And that is his goal. And you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, what a small little market. But they do have a championship recently, and they have been paying the luxury tax now for 3 straight years. They're going to pay the luxury tax for the next 3 years. They are going to pay the luxury tax until Giannis says, I'm not good at basketball anymore, which is still a long time away, or I don't want to be here anymore. When you get a Giannis, or when you get a Luka, or when you get a LeBron James, you have to say, look, I have for a decade, Mark Cuban for a decade hasn't spent much money on the Dallas Mavericks because they were, I don't know what they were trying to do, but eventually they got Luka. Great. But now that you got Luka, I'm sorry, you've saved a lot of money. Kind of like Ray Davis has saved a lot of money over the last 5 years of the Texas Rangers. And now he's like, screw it. Our young guys aren't developing. I'm going to go try to buy as many pieces as possible. In the NBA, when you get a Luka Doncic, whether you're in the little town of Milwaukee or you're in a big town of Dallas, you then go into luxury tax for possibly a decade. But Mark Cuban is not going to do that. He is going to make sure that he passes down whatever to his kids. I don't know his motivation right now, but it's not win at all cost.
Yeah, I also want to throw this out because I like this. And to me, it speaks big time to me. Luka's been winning since he was a teenager. He wants to win, which is true. He has. He's been winning. He's been dominating for a long time. Now he's going to come here. If the Mavs keep doing this, he's going to leave because he wants to win. Everybody wants to win. So that's not helping the cause at all of keeping Luka here. On top of that, I agree with this as well. What do the Mavs truly have to offer? Nobody wants these contracts of the players that we've got. They're so out of control. It's absurd. Nobody's going to pick that up. So that's two things right out the gate that Cuban is screwing up with this Mavs and could possibly screw up with Luka.
Well, and Tim McMahon said this. Tim McMahon is an honest man. Tim McMahon reported accurately on Luka Doncic saying he needs help. Mark Cuban's trying to crush that story. Mark Cuban's just trying to defend like his team, but Tim McMahon is not lying. Tim McMahon also talked about either on his podcast or wrote an article on it, but I know this is what he said or / wrote. This was a couple months ago. The clock is ticking on Luka Doncic. He has this year and 2 more years where he will be a Dallas Maverick. But you have next year and the year after. After that, it's over. Luka's going to demand out if they don't get better. So if they're not truly what you'd consider going into each season, a top 5 team, where, hey, things happen. You know this, Derek. Obviously, an injury can happen. A bad break in a playoff series can happen. And so Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, bad example. They don't win them all the time, but they get pretty darn close. And sometimes you just have things that don't go your way. It happens. But you have things go your way enough that you win a championship here and there every 2 to 3 years when you're as good as Luka is. But Tim McMahon's not lying, Dallas Maverick fans. Luka's not happy with this team. He wants help. And he has 2 more years of being a Dallas Maverick until him and his agent, Bill Duffy, who does not love Mark Cuban. He was Steve Nash's agent. And they didn't discuss anything. Duffy kept his clients away for almost a decade from the Dallas Mavericks. That's how much Bill Duffy hated Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks. That is Luka's agent. He will run Luka out of here.
I didn't know that. I mean, that's definitely, that's got red flags all over it for us. Because that's going to easily, he could tell Luka, here, just hold out. After this gets here, trust me, we'll go somewhere else. Somebody's going to pay you, which that's a fact. If he keeps doing what he's doing, how could you not pay him? And second, I mean, how do you not listen to your guys? Forget about if you want to keep it out of the fans, that's fine. But if your main guy is hinting like we need some help, we need pieces, you got to listen to that. You got to start paying attention to your team and your needs to help them to be successful. So God, he's going to screw this up. That's going to suck.
The tough thing is Luka's good enough that we're going to win 40 or 45 games, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And so he can carry this. He can carry whatever you give him. Put him on the Houston Rockets. Put him on the San Antonio Spurs. Put him on the Orlando Magic. Whatever team you think is the worst team in the NBA or a really bad team, if you add Luka, they're going to win 40 to 45 games. In a weird way, it doesn't matter what Luka has. He'll figure out a way to win half of the games. The issue is LeBron needed Dwayne Wade. LeBron needed Kyrie Irving. LeBron needed Anthony Davis. LeBron freaking James, the best player in the last 20 to 30 years in the NBA. And Kobe's up there too. I don't want to discount him, but Kobe needed Shaq. Kobe needed Pau Gasol. Kobe needed pieces. Everybody needs them.
Yep.
And for Mark Cuban to think, I just need Luka and a whole bunch of 3-and-D guys or hard workers or good teammates is just stupid.
I can't argue that at all. I mean, you ended that. It's perfect. Each guy. I mean, Jordan needed Pippen. Jordan needed those guys too. I mean, you look at every team and every guy in these championships. They had two pieces. There is not a team that was just a one-piece team, a one-piece pony.
Derek, so no offense to the players that play on the Mavericks right now. When Dirk won the championship, Jason Kidd, Hall of Famer. I know he was exiting his prime, but he was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Shawn Marion was the number 9 overall pick in the draft. Jason Terry was the number 10 overall pick in the draft. Tyson Chandler was the number 4 overall pick in his draft. Brendan Haywood was a pick like 16, I think, in his draft. Now, I know he got hurt at the end. Caron Butler was the number, I believe, 7 or 8 pick in his draft, and I know he got hurt too. But when you look at the team that won the championship, because if he said, well, Dirk didn't have another superstar with him when they won it in 2011, every player that was on that team was pretty much a top 10 pick in the NBA.
Yeah, but you also got 2 Hall of Famers.
Right.
I mean, and Tyson Chandler, I mean, that dude was a big time center.
I think Shawn Marion's a 5-time All-Star in his career.
Yeah.
So one of your role players, even though he was out of his prime, he was still a good player. And he had made the All-Star team in his prime pretty much every year that he was playing. Jason Terry never made an All-Star team, but Jason Terry won multiple 6-Man of the Year awards. Like, I mean, you just start looking and you're like, now wait a second. Now let's look at this team, Mark Cuban, that you say is the most underrated roster in the NBA, which is just a complete and utter joke. Nothing against Maxi Kleba and Dorian Finney-Smith. Nice role players, both undrafted in the NBA. Josh Green was, I believe, the 18th pick in the draft. Dinwiddie was a late first-round pick. When you look at Dwight Powell, he was a second-round pick. If I look at who else plays quite a bit on this team, Bullock was a late first-round pick. Like, you start looking at this and you're like, usually, I know there's Jokic's of the world and stuff like that. They get drafted later and end up being superstars. But most NBA players, when you look at the NBA All-Star team, most of them are lottery picks. It's rare to get Chris Middleton. It's rare to get Jokic. It does happen, but it's really rare. And Mark Cuban is taking a whole bunch of people nobody wanted to draft and then saying, this is a championship team. That's tough to imagine Mark Cuban can be that dense.
A part of me makes me feel like I wish we didn't go as far as we did last year. Because it's like we expect that we're going to do that again. We expect that same group, besides Brunson, is able to just go the distance again. When to me, it's like I said, it's lightning in a bottle, and that's it. There's no way. I mean, the consistency is not there. Bullock is still iffy right now with his shooting. Dorian's just coming off of an injury. I thought he had a fairly decent game today. Same thing.
Yeah,
Green had a really good game, in my opinion. I thought he was much better tonight than I've seen him in a while, but he's also been hurt for a little bit.
I love what Green and Dorian Finney-Smith did coming back tonight. They both had nice games after missing a lot of time. It wasn't just like 2 weeks. It was a month or more for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have done their part. I think Dinwiddie's held his own for us during that time span, but it's like we needed more from Powell. We needed more from, I'm trying to think of who else was out there. Gosh dang it, he got dunked on.
Oh, Bertans.
Like I mean, he had a good three, that he made for us in the corner, panic three, but it's still like, yeah, that was wild. It's just we need something there. Yeah, why don't you just tell us what you said? He
could have hit him in the dick right there and maybe done something to stop it from happening. His head was right there. He could have headed him right in his balls, I guess.
He could have headbutted him.
This is starting to turn out to be the worst thing possible, and that is they went on that stupid. I'll tell you what. I will take last year, Derek. So I'll take last year, but when you lost Brunson, I was hoping it wouldn't be this bad, but it's that bad. It's really destroyed this organization. And unfortunately, they went on that 7-game winning streak when Finney-Smith got hurt, Josh Green was already hurt, and they freaking won 7 in a row. That was the worst thing that could have happened. If they would have just lost 5 out of 7 of those games and then playing the way they're playing right now, I think you go into tank mode. And you go, our best chance is to get one of the top 2 picks. If Wembanyama is going to be the next generational star in the NBA, and you put him with Luka, or Scoot Henderson is going to be a combination of Ja Morant and Kyrie Irving, and you get him, all of a sudden you say, this one really bad year and bad off season that we had, letting Brunson go, signing JaVale McGee, like all of these horrible things that we did, it would end up being okay. But unfortunately, they won 7 in a row.
Mm-hmm. It's not, I mean, I don't know. We have to do something. This is not working. This is, they look tired. They look defeated. Today was bad. I don't even know when the last time they played. I don't know how many days off it's been, but today was, the Hawks were fast-paced team. They put pressure on immediate. Hell, the first play of the game was a turnover. And you're like, oh, there we go. That's a great start.
Yeah, by not paying attention. By I believe it was Wood and Dinwiddie dicking around, and then Murray just came in like, thanks, I'll take this and go lay it up 2-0 us.
Right out the gate.
And I just don't know. I don't know how they get out of this 500 area. I just don't know how. And then the other thing too is when you look at what's going to happen in the NBA here pretty soon. Memphis's owner, I believe, if I have this right, he has approximately 10 more billion, as in B, dollars than Mark Cuban. If you look at Denver, they're going to be willing to spend. They are spending a lot of money on players, and they're not backing down. They got Jokic, and they're like, screw it. We have, for the first time in the history of the Denver Nuggets after Carmelo left, because Carmelo's been the only franchise-changing player Denver's ever had in their franchise, and they got Jokic. And they got kind of lucky, second-round pick, but hey, he is a top 5 player in the game. And they're like, no, we're going to, for the next 5 years or however long it takes, we're going to spend as much as we can, we're going to pay the luxury tax, and we're going to try to win a championship. So if you look at Memphis, who's going to spend a crap load around Ja Morant, Denver's going to spend a crap load. The Lakers will always spend. The Clippers will always spend. Golden State will always spend. So now you start looking at your competition and going, here's the problem and the issue. They're going to spend, by the way, this year the Golden State Warriors spend $192 more million on their players than the Dallas Mavericks. Now, part of it is obviously luxury tax. But you just think of paying $192 million more dollars for a roster. You're probably going to be better. And I know they're 500, but you just look at that and go, how disgusting is it that Mark Cuban is just playing with all of our emotions while he's just putting money in the bank. And maybe he's just made bad investments elsewhere with crypto and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
somebody brought that up.
He's honestly, I think what has happened is he's cash poor. He's still rich as rich can be, but he's cash poor, and he's made some bad investments recently. And so he just cannot spend an extra 20 or 30 or $50 million in luxury tax money.
Yeah, sorry, my dogs just came running in here. Yeah, I think that's the big thing. My new dog and Bruce. The thing too that this reminds me of, and oh man, that was almost where I was going with it. They put PJ said we're the Oakland A's of the NBA, but our owner is a billionaire. I kind of agree with it. I feel like it's more of like you need a team that's like exceptional and they're okay with it. Like they're playing mediocre and it's like, we don't need to go spend. We're just going to stay with this because we're still getting money from the ticket sales. People are still going to come here and support us, but who cares if we're not winning anything? That's what I'm feeling. My pick was going to be the Pirates. It's not the Pirates because Pirates have been bad. But the only reason why I say it is because the Pirates don't spend at all. They have some talent there. For example, Brian Reynolds. That guy is there. We would consider him right now for this. He would be the Luka. And they're not putting pieces there to help them to win. But they have the money to. He just yelped. He bit the crap out of him. They bite each other so damn hard. But they have the money to spend it, but they don't want to. And that's what pisses me off. And that's what baseball gets upset about is there's so many teams that are out there that have money that can go out and buy all these players, but they don't. They'd rather just go with what it is because I guess they're getting money in their pocket. I don't know, but it's just so embarrassing when you have a team. If I'm an owner, I want to get players to win. I want to be the owner that everybody talks about in that city. Man, having Derek here, he really cares about his team. He wants to win. He went out and got us players. They went out and won, whatever. But if they don't go out and spend, that's the bigger key. That's where it's like, oh, well, we can't do anything with this. We're not going to win. And then the fans see it and it's like, oh, how can I like this team if they don't want to spend money?
So this is why I think something is really wrong financially with Mark Cuban personally, because Mark Cuban, he was at the game tonight. He goes to all the games. He goes to a lot of the road games. So we know he really likes basketball. It doesn't make him a smart basketball man, but it means he really likes watching basketball. So something has happened. And it's not just this year. Something has happened over the last 5+ years or so. Something has happened financially behind the scenes with Mark Cuban that he cannot spend money on this team. For example, there's an article. When the Mavs traded for Porzingis, they dumped Harrison Barnes for absolutely nothing. At that point, the Mavs could have stayed way over the cap and signed Porzingis to the max deal because they had his rights. They traded for him. And Mark Cuban made sure. So this is a while. This isn't just this year. But it keeps continuing. So now we know what's wrong. He financially something's wrong that we don't know about, but we can see through his actions. And he said, no, I got to dump all of these players and not get any players back on long-term contracts or good players to help us win because I got to stay under the luxury tax. So there's something up with Mark Cuban fans that we need to start pressing on that I don't know what it is, crypto, I don't know. He's obviously in a lawsuit because he was doing some crap with Voyeur or something, or a company.
Somebody brought that up before. I saw it, but I don't know what it was.
He's part of the lawsuit where it was kind of a fraud company.
But what about his response to the mural though? When he even said like, it bothered him, but then he said like, fine, if that's how fans want to think of this situation, I can't remember the quote exactly, but yeah. If they want to think of it this way, fine, that's fine. Be the fan that way, whatever it is. And then he complimented him. So to me, there is something that has to be going on in the background that we don't know. And he's just not letting, I'm trying to think of how to word this, but it's like there's something going on and he doesn't care. Like, it's like he knows that the fans are saying something. He knows that the fans are upset because we should be better than we are. There's no doubt about it. You have the best player in the game right now, and you have no other key pieces with him. Don't get me wrong, these guys are good. We're not saying that they're trash, but it's like we still need some pieces to help out. And he doesn't want to, it's like he can't accept that. He doesn't want to be wrong. And that's why, to me, it's like he has to be proven wrong so that he can see he is wrong. We need help. Luka needs help.
Yeah, and the only way it's going to happen, unfortunately, is I don't think we can have a big hand in this, even though I will say this, Derek. I'm going to call out Mark Cuban as much as I can on the radio. I'm going to call him out as much as I can on Twitter without being – and I'll cross the line by accident. I'll be honest. I probably crossed the line by accident a lot without trying to be too disrespectful. But I'm going to try to challenge Mark Cuban to prove us wrong. Prove that you're willing to trade for a Zach LaVine. Prove that you're willing to trade for a guy with a big contract. And then after trading for that big contract, you're going to trade more players for better players that are going to cost you more money. But right now, you keep doing things to knock things down. So for me, the only person that can change this is Bill Duffy / Luka Doncic. When they say, we don't want to be in Dallas anymore with the way you're running this, that's when things change. Even Kobe Bryant did that to Jerry Buss. After Jerry Buss did everything for Kobe in a way that he got rid of Shaquille O'Neal. He got rid of Phil Jackson. He's like, if you want to be the face of this franchise, I will let you do that. I will get rid of Shaq. I will get rid of Phil Jackson. Well, 2 years into it, they're in the lottery. And so he says, I want out. In fact, he says to, I believe it was Ahmad Rashad, he says, you know what I want to do? I want to go be a Dallas Maverick. So if people don't remember this, Kobe demanded to go to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, when that happened, all of a sudden, Jerry Buss traded for Pau Gasol. He ends up going and get Meta World Peace / Ron Artest. He ends up getting Derek Fisher back. He goes and gets Phil Jackson back. So when Kobe threatened, I'm not going to be a Laker anymore, I'm done. All of a sudden, Jerry Buss got nervous and made like 4 outstanding moves to then give Kobe the back-to-back championships, to help him get the back-to-back championships.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And we can't wait for that to see if that happens. That's what the scarier piece is what if he wants to see if that's, let's see if Luka's really going to do that. Luka's not going to leave. There's no way. He thinks that. And then now it's too late. Now you're going to have all of Dallas pissed at you and want you out of here without a doubt. The other thing is, you're going to have to help me on this because I don't know. PJ wrote, the problem is not only the spending, the signings, cheap or not, the draft picks. Bob Vulgaris? Yeah,
he's Vegas Bob. So he was there. He was the analytic guy.
Oh, okay.
And so he was, during the draft of drafting Josh Green, there was total and complete chaos in the room because Vegas Bob was kind of acting general manager. Donnie Nelson was furious with Mark Cuban in Vegas. I call him Vegas Bob. And so it was a debacle. So when it came to the 18th pick, Derek, Tim McMahon wrote this article. Donnie Nelson wasn't even in the room. He was so mad.
That's what they said.
That Mark Cuban had ruined relationships so bad that it was like, so we didn't even – Vegas Bob drafted Josh Green, and it was like a panic pick. Nothing against Josh Green. He's okay, but there were – supposedly they liked Sadiq Bey better. Supposedly there were people that wanted Tyrese Maxey, who's, really, really good in Philadelphia. But because – Mark Cuban was so dysfunctional as an owner and ruined relationships that we were in a panic mode when the pick came up because everybody was mad at each other.
This, so they said that to me. That's why I was trying to figure out who that was. They're saying he's
a gambler. He's like a professional gambler, analytic guy.
Well, they were putting out there that they mention. People don't mention the fact that Donnie Nelson stormed out of the room before the Mavs pick, and they drafted Josh Green and Tyrell Terry over Desmond Bain. Sorry, my dog is pulling my camera, so if you're wondering where I'm going, he found the cord. The other thing is Mark Cuban also did this not only with the mural for the first time. This isn't the first time he's done it. He's done it to Bleacher Report, made them delete a tweet article about Dirk, and recently did it again to Bleacher Report this year about a Luka tweet. So it's like he doesn't want any of the negativity. It kind of reminds me of a South Park episode where they make Cartman, or I forget who it was, they have to go around and no negativity is allowed to be said or seen. But that's not
Derek,
right.
Derek, over his time as owner of the Mavs, he's at times pulled press passes because somebody wrote a negative article about the Mavericks.
See, that's ridiculous. We both have dealt with negativity in our careers from reporters. I've had friends that are reporters that have to speak negative about me.
Yeah.
That pisses me off that you can't handle that, or it's cool to have your opinion and be pissed and everything, but you can't pull credentials or not allow negative things to be said. We don't live in this fairy tale land of positivity 24/7 and nothing negative is ever said.
Yeah, I just, in a weird way, what does Mark Cuban want us to talk about tomorrow on the radio? Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about playoff football. We are going to talk a little bit about last night or tonight's game and talk about if your star player gets double teamed 50% of the game, he had 19 points at the end of the first quarter. He had 30 points for the game. He only scored 11 more points. And part of that is he had to take some bad shots because he's like, screw it. I'm getting double teamed, but I'm still going to fire this one up and see what happens. Or I'm going to dribble into this double or triple team, and I'm going to see if I can get something at the rim. And literally, I know people get mad at him that don't watch the Mavs, and they'll say, like, Luka's got to share the ball more. Luka does this and that. But Luka's pulling a double team out to half court and then passing it to the center, passing it right at the top of the key. And then we don't score. So if you're Luka Doncic, what should you do? You're the best player on your team by far. You've passed the ball to the top of the key 3 times, and you guys have 0 points doing that. What should he do next time? Take the double team and pull it out and pass it again, or say, fuck it, I'm going to launch up a 3-pointer and see what happens here? I lost your audio. I can't hear you if you can hear me. Can the people hear you? Derek, can anybody hear anything? Derek, can anybody hear anything? Derek, can anybody hear anything? I'm gonna hang up and then see what happens. Can you hear me? Why can't I hear you?
No?
I can hear you.
You got me?
I got you.
The freaking dog is knocking all kinds of shit over. So you got me. We're back. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, the puppy's just all over this place. It's unbelievable.
He knocked your audio out.
Yes, he found all the cords, so he's like pulling shit. He's in here. Quit. He's literally pulling all my stuff. He took
Time to
God
put
dang
him in his kennel. It's kennel time.
It will be. Okay, so we're back. We're good.
All right, so let's talk about this real quick, Derek. While you're listening to me, there's a rumor out there that the Mavs could possibly trade Reggie Bullock for Cam Reddish, and the Mavs would have to add a second-round pick. The Mavs would be getting a worse player, but a guy on an expiring contract, a guy who says he hated being in Atlanta because they would only play him about 12 to 15 minutes a night. He doesn't like New York because they took him out of the starting lineup, and he just didn't want to play there anymore. And he got crossways with Thibodeau, the head coach, and so he just doesn't play him anymore. He's like, "Done. I'm not going to play you." So why would that make sense? If you're trying to get better, you're going to take a guy who refused to give it his all in Atlanta, traded to New York, got mad about not being in the starting lineup in New York. What is he going to do here? He's never proven he's not been a good player. He's living off of his 17-year-old hype train. Wasn't good at Duke, hasn't been good in the NBA. And we're going to trade for him? Nobody can hear Derek Holland. Well, Derek, maybe we're ending this like the Mavericks ended the fourth quarter. So we're going to get better on Friday, right? We're going to do this live on Friday. So during the game, you can be with us on this Discord, on Dutch Oven 45's Discord, and we will do this. So we'll tweet it out. We'll try to get some hype going, and we can all watch the Mavericks get their ass hammered on Friday. All right? Have a good night. Doggy time.